Hello everyone, Luis Concepcion here from Strategic Profit Line Trading, coming to you with the plan of the week for week 25. I'm back, was on vacation, so here we go. Here's our agenda. I'm going to cover the news, provide a market overview of what's happening in the indices, and we have 76 companies reporting this week. Should have a volatile week due to what's happening in the Middle East over the weekend, and a lot of news that will interact with that as well. So should be an interesting and volatile week. So for week 23, I went ahead and I updated this, provided 16 zones. We went 2-1 and no entries on 13. Here's the outlook for our earnings. Uh, Not too many major companies reporting, but we do have FedEx, General Mills, Nike, Micron, and so on and so forth. So I'll do my best to provide you with opportunities that will maybe hit this week. Went ahead and I updated our win rate. And again, the only trade that did not work that week was Oracle for 2 weeks ago, and that brings our total to 42-7. Moving into our news, starting with Monday, you can see that there's reports in the 8 hours of the night. That's mainly going to be the euro. So for those of you trading futures and forex, you may have opportunity at Sunday's open, depending on what happens during the evening. The British pound will also be affected, so be mindful of that for forex and futures traders. The U.S. markets will resume trading obviously at 6:30 in the morning Pacific time, and we have two reports 15 minutes into the open. So be cognizant of that might cause additional volatility into what's going on into the Middle East this week. Just remind you that you have a report coming out 15 minutes right after the market opens. Moving on to Tuesday, Canadian dollar will be affected in the middle of the night, so be mindful of that. Then moving on to 7 o'clock, we got Powell testifying on Tuesday and Wednesday. So again, some volatility possible 30 minutes after the open on Tuesday. Australian dollar will be affected after hours, so be mindful of that as they have their CPI report. Moving on to Wednesday, again, 30 minutes after the open, be cognizant of what Powell says and testifies that can affect the markets. Then moving on to Thursday, we got a GDP and unemployment claims, both of them happening before the market opens, so that should cause some volatility at the market open. Then finally, moving into Friday, we have PCE and price index for the US market and the Canadian dollar. Both will be affected pre-market. And that's your news for the week. Moving into the charts and starting with the SPX or also the SPY, you can see that this level was the one we've had. It finally breached it barely, just poked its head above it twice. And then we moved down from there. It initially worked the first time. The new levels I have for you, and depending on what happens on Sunday and what's happening in the Middle East, may affect, if it affects the markets negatively, we'll be heading back down. So anticipate that this week possibly, but we will not know until Sunday afternoon's open. With that being said, the first demand level I have for you is 5825.75 to 5765.88. Then on the supply side, we have one level left before making all new time highs again. If the market decides to, that's going to be 608 the 6.34 to 6151.35. Moving on to the Nasdaq, as you can see, the Nasdaq did breach that level. It did have a reaction to it. We fell earlier in the month, and then pretty much attempted to hit this level here last week. Didn't make it up there. That level being 22,071.21 to 22,222.61. That is the last supply level on the Nasdaq. First demand zone I have for you is 2879.50 to 2605.75. And that is the NASDAQ. Moving on to the Dow Jones, also known as the DIA. First demand level I have for you is 388.83 to 378.24. On the supply side, 432.48 to 440.80. As you can see, the Dow is weaker than the SPY and NASDAQ, as it still has one more level that it hit that I provided 2 weeks ago. You can see we hit this on June 11th and we fell from it right away. Moving on to the RUT. the last level that I provided, you can see that we came into this level and we fell from it. We'll see what happens this week. This level is still intact, that level being 2133.34 to 2203.35. Obviously, the rut is the weakest out of the four indices. And then on the demand side, 1893.79 to 1824.40. Now, moving into the stocks I have for you this week. First company is going to be ticker symbol CMC. On the demand side, 42.77 to 41.14. On the supply side, 61.32 to 63.50. Next company I have for you is KB Homes, ticker symbol KBH. On the demand side, 42.08 to 41.01. On the supply side, 66.38 to 70.51. Next company I have for you is Carnival Cruise Lines, ticker symbol CCL. On the demand side, 19.59 to 18.99. On the supply side, 26.76 to 27.82. Next company I have for you is Synex, ticker symbol S and X. On the demand side, 105.96 to 101.83. On the supply side, 138.75 to 145.41. Next company I have for you, FedEx. So for FedEx on the demand side, 193.76 to 182.92, with a subsequent level right below it at 181.81 to 162.11. On the supply side, 248.09 to 253.95, this being a more aggressive level. The more conservative level is at 274.77 to 281.88 on the supply side. Next company I have for you, ticker symbol GIS, sitting in demand right now. I have another one below it. No, I do not. 53.97 to 51.44, and the supply zone all the way up at 74.57 to 77.65. Next company I have for you is Paychex. No supply in Paychex. First demand level I have for you is sitting at 134.66 to 131.89. Next company I have for you is Winnebago, ticker symbol WGO, sitting in this demand level. As you can see, it's been hovering here. Can't get around it. Somewhat aggressive at this point. However, that demand level being 30.51 to 25.41. On the supply side, 73.32 to 76.30. Next company I have for you is Micron. So Micron's been on a tear since it hit its low earlier on April 7th. First demand level I have for you is 98.44 to 90.94. In the event of an overshoot, you have 86.30 to 83.47, with a supply level coming up here at 129.43 to 137.11. Next company I have for you is Jefferies, ticker symbol JEF. On the demand side, 36.93 to 36.09. On the supply side, 64.62 to 66.84. Next company I have for you is AYI. On the demand side, 208.33 to 198.92. On the supply side, 304.69 to 316.16. Next company I have for you is McCormick. These levels have been intact for quite some time, going all the way back to last July. Still working, still holding. On the demand side, 66.40 to 64.20, with a subsequent level at 61.94 to 59. On the supply side, 85.39 to 87.67. And the last company I have for you this week is going to be Nike. Nike is sitting in a larger time frame demand level. As you can see, we have not broken it yet, that level being 59.02 to 49.80. On the supply side, the first supply level I have for you is 71.56 to 74.16. And that's going to do it for us with the charts this week. Real great to be back. Do me a favor, and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Feel free to follow me on social media for posts. Check out the website for blogs. If you have any questions regarding the when I'm giving my next courses, feel free to check out the website. Those are coming up in July. And until next time, happy trading.